Well, John Brennan, of course, ran the CIA under Barack Obama. Now he's a cable news shouter, a paid analyst for MSNBC who insults Donald Trump and advocates for the Democratic Party. Brennan no longer works for the federal government in any capacity. He holds no official post. And yet, according to two sources we spoke to exclusively today, Brennan retains perhaps the most valuable asset he had in government, a top-secret security clearance. This allows him to do what the rest of us cannot do: view classified government documents, and more critically, discuss classified topics with intelligence officials still working in government, and then leak that information to the press. This is an awesome power. Our intelligence agencies keep America's most sensitive secrets. They hold highly personal information on every American, including you. It is terrifying to think that John Brennan still has access to any of that information. Brennan is an out-of-the-closet extremist. This week, he accused Donald Trump of treason, a death penalty offense. On Tuesday, he suggested it would be reasonable for the intelligence agencies to conceal information from the president. That's a violation of their charter and a violation of federal law. On Twitter, Brennan routinely makes florid threats, addressing his tweets directly to the president like a crazy person. Earlier this year, for example, Brennan wrote this, quote, "When the full extent of your venality, moral turpitude, and political corruption becomes known, you will take your rightful place as a disgraced demagogue in the dustbin of history. America will triumph over you." You could almost hear his fingers smashing the keyboard. Not a stable man. Brennan is also a passionate ideologue with a documented history of dishonesty, and not just a little bit, a lot. As CIA director, he lied about spying on Senate staffers, which the CIA did, and about killing civilians with drone strikes. He lied about the Steele dossier, famously. In 2010, he prevented the CIA from referring to Islamic militants as jihadists because, and we're quoting now, "Jihad is a holy struggle and a legitimate tenet of Islam." This is not a man who should have a security clearance. We called NBC News today to ask if Brennan has revealed classified information on their air, or whether he's passed that information to his colleagues at NBC. NBC did not respond. But Brennan is not the only reckless partisan with a history of dishonesty who retains a government security clearance. Jim Clapper, the former director of national intelligence, appears to have one too. Same with Michael Hayden, another former CIA director. Hayden recently suggested the president is carrying out a second Holocaust on the Mexican border. In case you're wondering how classified information winds up in the media on a near-daily basis, the New York Times story this morning, all of it designed to undermine the elected president and bolster the Democratic Party, now you have some sense. You hate to think the deep state is real, that there's a permanent government that operates independently of voters and of democracy itself. But as long as guys like this have security clearances, honestly, you've got to wonder. Senator Rand Paul represents the Commonwealth of Kentucky. He is worried about this, and we talked to him about it a short time ago. Senator, thanks for joining us.
Sure.
John Brennan is an irresponsible partisan combatant who works for a cable news channel and has threatened the president on Twitter. Why in the world would he have a top-secret federal security clearance?
Now, this is alarming. And if John Brennan still has top-secret clearance, can he research Donald Trump? Can he research his family? Can he type my name into computer search engines? Can he look at all of my information? It's alarming. If he has top-secret clearance, as unhinged as he is now, calling the president treasonous, saying basically that he's for, the death penalty for the president. Yeah, it's alarming. If he has security clearance, it's absolutely alarming.
So we've spoken to knowledgeable sources on this question who say he does. We tried to confirm that with the CIA. They refused to comment on it. We asked NBC, his employer. They refused to comment on it. We believe it to be true. What would prevent him from speaking to current employees of the CIA or other intelligence agencies and getting information, secret information from them that could be leaked to the press or used against his political opponents?
Right. Well, John Brennan has a history of leaking information already, not only for political reasons, but a few years ago he linked that there was an inside informant in Yemen while that person was still on the inside in Yemen. He put that person's life at risk. They all backpedaled, and they had to rescue someone out of Yemen who was at the heart of an al-Qaeda, project trying to discover what al-Qaeda's plans were in Yemen, but John Brennan leaked their name. So he's got a history of having a problem with leaking. Head of the CIA, who in their right mind would want to let him have the power still to search through everybody's records?
But he's a private citizen who works for a cable news station. Could I get a top secret security clearance and find out government secrets and use them in the course of my job? I mean, what is this?
No, I think it's completely crazy, and I think the idea that he could be passing secrets to the media, yeah, that's alarming. And then,
well, what can be done?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to send a letter not only to the president asking whether he still has clearance, which I think the president might be interested in this issue. I'm sending the letter also to Sessions and also to Dan Coats, who's over all of the intelligence. So we are going to press the case, and we're going to find out, does John Brennan still have clearance, and really should a person who has called the president treasonous have top secret clearance
or threatened him? But it's not just Brennan. It is potentially, and we believe it is also Clapper, Susan Rice, people who are active participants in current partisan warfare.
Right. Shouldn't
there be some mechanism to prevent people who are engaged in partisan warfare from having top secret clearances?
And this is something I've advocated for years, and that's to have oversight of the intelligence community by having judges grant warrants. So they would have to go to a judge to have permission to look at a database. I don't want them researching Donald Trump's political supporters, their records, their bank records, their phone records. The way to stop it is to have an overall reform. And in fact, I'm going to talk with the president on Monday, and we're going to ask the president, will you institute a new rule at the FBI that says they cannot search these foreign databases for Americans' material without asking a judge for permission?
Thank you for doing that. I'm sorry it's taken this long for someone to do something about it. I'm glad you are. Senator, thank you.
Thank you.